Guy, finally, it beat expectations on AWS.
And good for them. And I'm looking at this. Remember, there were days when we used to do the show where operating margins for Amazon were 3-4%. 12% operating margin. So they're obviously doing things the right way. And it's deserved of even this valuation, which is not ridiculous. So this move to me makes sense. I don't know how Carter feels technically, but you're through those prior highs. I think the stock can continue to go higher in the back of this quarter.
How do you feel technically?
Yes. Well, as opposed to fundamentally or quantitatively or politically. But here's the reality. We know that this has been a major laggard, right? You're talking about a stock that its relative performance peaked to the S&P in 2020. And that's because it was such a massive outperformer during COVID when they were the provider of everything to everybody locked at home. It is a laggard that is only now playing catch up. I suspect this gap up has room to run. Once you clear a former high, in principle, as a matter of technique, you're in sort of free territory and you can move higher. There's no overhead supply.
Courtney, what do you make of the quarter?
Yeah, I think this is what you want to see when we're talking about these AI stories. You need to see that they're having the growth to go along with it. And I think the fact that you're finally seeing their cloud segment is actually growing faster than expected. People were worried that Google and Microsoft were really eating their lunch, and you're not seeing that happening. They're actually finally starting to accelerate. So this is exactly what you want to see in earnings report. When there's this big question of is AI in a bubble, you want to see them actually having something to show for it.
Right. That, and also the Prime subscription fees are going to go up in 2026. There's some operational fulfillment efficiencies which can be wrenched out of the system here, so they could actually pull the lever.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'd say is that 17% year-over-year growth in AWS last quarter, if it had come below that right now, I mean, the stock would be down 13%. So, like, the fact that it's up 20%, that's great. So you're seeing a re-acceleration in that growth. You know, we've seen, like, the shifting fortunes as it relates to Azure and GCP from Google. I mean, those companies are growing their clouds faster, but AWS has more market share, right? And they don't, and we talked about this week. I'm totally wrong about that. I thought of all these names, this one was probably going to be the worst result. And, you know, I think the jury's still out because you talk about from a margin perspective, that is what this company has been built on over the last 15 years, this mix shift between AWS and their core business. But, you know, and Mac just said this, that advertising business, which has been a monster, it's been pure margin. There is going to be pressure on that. I don't know if it happens. Maybe Gene can help us out later, whether it's, you know, Q1 2026 or Q4 or 2027. But that's going to be something that's going to be a problem as OpenAI and some of these other models look to monetize. They're going to do it through advertising, and they're going to do it with e-commerce. And I think that's going to be put pressure on this ad business for Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, Dan brings up the point when we've talked about it back and forth. This setting up was the worst setup. It turns out to be the best performer. We had it as a sell going into earnings this week. But again, it's always about sequencing. If this stock is up since the autumn of 2020, 30%, the S&P's up 100, and the NASDAQ 100 is up 150. Is it a winner or isn't it? Meaning this is good here and now, and if one has played it, okay, profits have been realized or there's more to come. But it has really been a disaster. There has been no alpha in Amazon for 4 years.
A disaster.
Well, it is. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, if you're up 30% and an index is up 100 plus and a NASDAQ 100 is up 150, you lose. I mean, your money was not allocated to the right area.
Carter will tell you that if you went to a cocktail party this weekend and bragged to your friends that you're up 30% in Amazon, and they looked at you and said, loser, the broader market's up 100%. That's exactly right. So, yeah, you're happy with that until you see what the broader market has done, and he talks about the relative strength. It's been an underperformer. Now's the time, though, at least in terms of Amazon, where I think it could play a little bit of catch-up.